This lecture is going to explain what social engineering is. I'll provide you with a basic definition. I'll speak a little about malicious social engineering, and I'll introduce phishing, vishing, smishing, and impersonation. Social engineering. Let's start with a definition. One way of defining social engineering would be to consider it as any act that influences a person to take an action that may or may not be in their best interest. Social engineering occurs when we blend science, psychology, and art. Really, it's all about communication. It's about how we communicate with our colleagues, with our parents, with our spouses, with our children, our friends, and presumably with our enemies. From that description, it's important to note that social engineering isn't always negative. However, malicious social engineers also use the same effective communication principles to part you and your company from data, information, money, and sometimes more. Let's introduce the top 3 malicious social engineering methods. They are phishing. Phishing typically starts when an email appears, usually appearing to come from a reputable source. This email has the goal of influencing you, or perhaps of gaining some personal or confidential information. A second malicious social engineering method is vishing. This is voice plus phishing. And just like ordinary phishing, it's a similar concept, but now the social engineer is trying to elicit information or attempting to influence you to an action over the phone. The third popular malicious social engineering method is impersonation. This is where somebody presents themselves as somebody else in order to obtain private information, or to gain access to a person, a company, or perhaps a computer system. For example, there's a term called pretexting. Pretexting is when a liar calls you and asks that you provide sensitive or confidential information so that they can confirm you are really you. Remember, they've called you. They might ask you to give them your date of birth, or the town that you were born in, or the school that you went to, and all the while they're building up a profile on you. Let's drill down a little bit more into phishing. Here, coming up on the screen, is a phishing email apparently from PayPal. Clearly it's not. You've probably received something very similar to this many times. Email phishing is a very popular form of attack. It's responsible for over 3/4 of socially based attacks. What normally happens is that the email arrives and it either has an attachment containing some form of malware, or within the phishing email is a link to an illegitimate website. I'll drill down more into this in a later session. Most phishing email is simply trying to install malware onto the victim's computer. Let's consider vishing. Now in vishing, a fraudster will call your landline or your mobile, pretending to be from your bank, or perhaps your insurance company, building society, maybe a government agency, or even somebody that you normally do business with. Smishing. This adopts a similar approach, but this time it's via an SMS text. And the text asks you to provide some personal or banking details, or perhaps to call a premium rate telephone number so that you can run up some huge bills. Smishing is often more effective than traditional email-based phishing campaigns. Perhaps it's due to the private nature of a mobile phone. People don't find themselves as much on their guard when they're using their computer and an email arrives. Let's consider impersonation. If you're a high-value target, it might be worth a malicious social engineer spending considerable time and effort piecing together a complete picture of you to build what's called a synthetic identity. Social engineers may patiently piece together information from a variety of sources, often including information sourced from intermediate victims. They do this until gaining a coherent picture of their eventual target. If it's done well, intermediate victims are often totally unaware that any of their actions, in terms of providing information or performing an action requested by the social engineer, these intermediate victims will be totally unaware that they're actually contributing to the problem. It's It's the combination of all of this gleaned information that enables the impersonator to attain their eventual goal. If you're a high-value target, they will invest an awful lot of effort into developing a synthetic identity prior to launching their attack. Impersonators may build up a synthetic profile of you or your company. The ways of obtaining information include stalking you on social media. They may follow you online, trying to friend you on social media sites. They may head straight to your company website. It's surprising how much personal and semi-confidential information is revealed on company websites. The email phishing that we've spoken about can be very effective for the malicious social engineer. Phone pretexting, calling the intended victim, and if you've got the gall to do it, asking them directly for the information that you're after. Dumpster diving. This is where people go through corporate rubbish bins, looking for confidential information. Perhaps you might eavesdrop on employee conversations, sitting there quietly in the cafes and pubs where the employees congregate and just simply listening in. Of course, you can visit the darknet market websites that we've talked about to consult with other malicious social engineers.